Welcome back to the Kushka channel, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I am. The sun is out, getting over a cold, and it's the freaking weekend. So, I'm gonna bring you another video. So this will be installment number 2 on Project LB7 Duramax Spool Up. On the last episode, we removed that old stock downpipe, and on this episode, we're gonna remove the exhaust manifolds and the up pipes, so that we can, on the next episode, remove the turbo. So let me get you set up for what we're doing here. So in this episode, I'm focusing more on the passenger side because I have full access. You can see it, and I'm just showing you what tools to use and how I got in there with my little makeshift tools to get back to those hard to reach bolts and how to remove that stuff out from your engine bay. Because if you are a Duramax owner, you know all that shit is just tucked back in the engine bay. It's really difficult to get out. And I show you that on the driver's side as well. I gotta apologize, I thought I had more footage. In fact, I know I did, but I don't know what happened to it. It's deleted or something. So I get you set up for the removing the manifold, but I can't find the video where the manifold's out and we're doing a comparing contrast. But fret not, because in the next episode, once I get the turbo out and everything, I also get my sand rollers in, and so we're doing more of the port and polish finishing touches in that video. Also, what was going on is we're battling weather from nice days to just torrential downpour, and so we get the passenger side manifold off and we start to work on the up pipe, and then we get pissed on, and so we move it inside to the garage and we start the phase 1 of the port and polish of the manifolds. And then I give you a closer look at that BD power full bore exhaust manifold as well, and we do a nice port on that. At least we get a rough cut and we get the sandstone in there, and then later on in the next episode all my sand rollers arrive, and so I do a nice fine finish on that as well, and get that port matched up to the up pipes, get the up pipes port matched to the turbo, and then get the turbo port matched, rebuild the internals, slap on that billet aluminum compressor wheel, and then, you know, put it all back together again. So we got a lot to do, and I hope this video helps you out. And I'm gonna go ahead and fill in probably with some pictures and narrate a little bit once I get the manifold off, so I can just show you the pictures of what the stock driver side manifold looks like. You'll see that pinch between, I think it's cylinder 6 and 8, where it's reduced by 20%, and it's just really bad for your flow, creates excessive heat in that one area, and your balance of flow between your passenger and a driver side is a little off. And so by installing that full bore and doing a full port and polish, we're getting that 20% back plus some, and with the with all the ports straightened out in a 1-to-1 ratio, with them being gasket matched, we get a much smoother flow all the way to the turbo. And I can tell you, everything's put back together and running great now. It made the whole truck a little quieter and a little smoother. It has this nice purr to it until you get on it, and then it's just blah, just loud and angry, and it spools up quick. So it was very well worth the efforts, I can tell you that. So if this all sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. We got a long ride ahead of us, because after we get that turbo in there, we go take it out for a test run and overheat the truck, and I also detect some carbon emissions in my coolant reservoir, which means we either got an injector issue, a lifted injector cup, or a head gasket issue. So you're gonna want to stay tuned to see what's going on with that, because ultimately I pull those heads out, do a full port and polish, change the head gaskets, put in some studs, and throw in some 45 over sack nozzled LDS injectors, and so worth it. So worth it, I tell you, it was so worth it. So if this is something you're interested in, you'll want to stick around for the series, Project LB7 Duramax Spool Up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so to remove these exhaust manifolds, I need to remove that downpipe, which I just did. I have a separate video for that because there's so many steps involved that it just warrants its own video. A lot of finessing, a lot of special tools, a lot of time, a lot of creative curse words. So I had to get that out of the way because there is a 12 millimeter 12 point bolt right tucked in back here that you can't get to so long as that downpipe is in the way. As you see, everything is pretty wet here. Oh, battery's about to die on my light. As you see, everything's pretty wet here because I've been just dousing it with PB Blaster for the past couple of days. In preparation for this. And actually I've been spraying it periodically off and on for the past several weeks just because it's so rusty and these bolts have a tendency to snap and just cause a lot of trouble. So to get that 12 millimeter off, I'm going to use my 1/2 inch ratchet, and I have it scaled down to a 3/8 12 point socket because that's what I got. And for my cheater bar, I'm using my old trusty jack handle from a 3-ton jack. Let's try to crack this one. There she goes, a little bit. Yep. Okay, she's gone. There we go. There's one over back here. This is going to be fun. This one I have not cracked open. Okay. Sheet bar extensions. No room whatsoever to get back in here. Okay. Now that those are pretty much free, and spin them off. Alright, got the 3 lower bolts out. Okay, these bolts at least are 14 millimeter. I actually was able to crack this one by hand. I mean, maybe I broke it. Nope. Cool. Actually got one. Hopefully they're all this easy. Doubt it. Okay. They all look like that. This should be pretty straightforward. The only ones I'm really worried about is trying to get these nuts off the studs because those look like shit. I did get all new hardware for the manifolds, so that's good. Okay, that's actually encouraging to see. If this one comes off just as easy. Oh man. 9/16 might actually fit better, but less likely to strip it at 14. Camera's kind of in the way, so let me see if I can just do this with one hand. Yep. Okay. Not bad. So far, so good. Also, does not look too bad. here. Nope. I think I'm going to snap it. Tighten it. Loosen it. Hit it with a little heat. Okay, I'm going to scrub on that a little bit, see if I can clean up the threads, give it the old treatment. I think the studs are going to be the most troublesome just because these threads are exposed and sure they're all kinds of rusted. Hopefully I don't snap it. That'll be a pain in the ass. Okay, looks like the whole stud's actually coming out, so that's a good sign. I hope the other stud does that too, because I got brand new bolts to replace all of them. This one's coming out, so we're gonna let it. There she goes. Doesn't look like we snapped it, so that's a good sign. It's really rusty on the bottom though, if you can see that. Okay, I'm gonna keep working here. I'd take you guys along for the ride, but it's hard to get my arms in here when I got this big old flashlight in the way and I got this camera up in my teeth. So if anything gets interesting, I will bring you back in and show you, but otherwise I got this stud and then all the bottom bolts to take off still. So I think I'm going to try a couple of those. They're all in there pretty good. Alright, just want to bring in for a minute here. So they're all coming off pretty easy. I got this bottom one off here and moving on to this one. It's not a whole lot of space, but this flex ratchet, or this, you know, I think it's called a flex ratchet or whatever, angle ratchet. That's my best friend right now because that's able to get me in there and I can still put my cheater bar on and move around. Yeah, you can see. Just good enough. Just crack that one. And once they go, they actually come out pretty easy. I think I could actually just probably... Yeah, once they crack open, they just want to fall right out. But we are fighting with a bunch of rust here. I'll give you a good example. So this one right here feels like it wants to snap. I'm thinking it's because it's got all this rust buildup that I'm fighting. So I'm gonna just have to be real ginger with it. Use a lot of heat, PB blaster, try to get it in there best I can. But otherwise, I got one more bolt before I gotta tackle that one right there, and I'm afraid I'm gonna snap it. Almost certain that it's gonna snap. Alright, good news is they all came out easy except for one. One snapped off. So that's unfortunate. So here's what all the bolts look like. A couple of studs. There's the manifold. Pretty rusty, but it's actually not as bad as I thought. definitely needs to be worked and cleaned up. The old gasket here. So if we do some gasket matching, there's just a little bit of material to take off. Not a whole lot. Not enough to make a big difference. The transitions actually feel pretty alright. So I think I'll probably clean this up and reuse it. There's that snap bolt. Looks like there's enough there for me to get a nut around. Weld that one up too. Probably drench that in some penetrating oil first. Let that soak up for a bit. But yeah, that's it. That's how you remove them. Gotta take your time. So to recap, to get off that manifold, you need to get off the up pipe. To get off the up pipe, you need to get the down pipe off. To get the down pipe off, you need to get the trans stick out of the way. You need some special tools, but it's all doable. I'll have a video for you to take off the down pipe. Okay guys, today we're going to focus on these exhaust manifolds a little bit. So to clean up this manifold, I used a needle scaler, or a scaler needle. I forgot what these needle scaler, I think is what these things are called. I call it the Auntie Tickler, so I'm going to keep calling it that from now on. Just a air tool. I don't cost very much. Picked it up on Amazon for like 50 bucks or something like that. That did great. Between that and a little wire wheel, cleaned up everything that I needed to. Left a big freaking mess, everywhere, but that's okay. And also, I removed that bolt that was stuck in there. I just welded on a washer and nut. Let's see if I can get you in there. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. But you get a pretty good straight shot in there. It actually looks like it flows pretty decently. Same with the BD. So what I'm going to do here is get it prepped for port matching. And when I port match, I'm going to put the gasket on like so. I'm going to bolt it on, and you can see that there is a little bit of material that I can take off to match up with the gasket. So gasket matching. And that'll be the same thing over here as well. Get it lined up. Probably line up a little better than that. Here, hold on. There, you can see a little bit of material there. You'll see it better here in a minute, because after I bolt this onto the manifold, I don't have Dykem. I couldn't find any Dykem in town, but I did find this Sharpie, and the Sharpie looks like it's pretty visible. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, this one dry up on me? Well, it was for like 0.2 seconds. Weird. I'll use this one. Oh, there we go. That other one looks like it's dead. Just color that up. You can see that it shows up pretty good. So I'll use that to mark all the material that I need to cut off, and then I'll use this scribe that I pick up to scratch out the perimeter of the gasket, and then that will mark where I need to take the material off with my die grinder. So I'll show you that here in a second, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little heads up before I get in too deep. So I picked up all these gaskets and everything on Amazon. It's a Molly kit. It comes with a bunch of gaskets that you need for your turbo. So depending on if you have a federal or a California downpipe situation, they give you both gaskets. They also give you all the gaskets you need to install your turbo, even little banjo gasket things. Everything you need to install your turbo, and I think it was like $50 or something like that. I'll put a link in the description if that's something you're interested in. And I believe I picked up the these manifold gaskets from KB Diesel Performance. I'm pretty sure I picked these up there. And I will do the same thing on the bottom. I'll gasket match everything and then grind it down. And the whole point of doing this is to improve the airflow, to improve that velocity, because especially down in here to the up pipes, those are not going to match up directly to the up pipe. There's going to be some overlap in there where, let's see if I can give you a good for instance. There'll be some overlap or say this is the up pipe might be overlapped like that, or maybe it'll be down here, maybe it'll be over here a little bit, but either way it's going to create a little bit of a ledge or a 90-degree angle or something that the exhaust flow is going to bump up against. And as you know, exhaust, like water, doesn't really like 90-degree angles. It'll slow down that air velocity, it will create unnecessary heat, and ultimately make that turbo spool just a little bit slower than it could otherwise. And so we're just going to straighten it out, because they can't do this for all of the vehicles out of the manufacturer. You know, they get all these out of the casts, and then they slap them on the vehicles, and they're good to go. So this will just be kind of correcting some of those inherent defects. And also right here, you can see it. Right here, there's a little bit of a lip right there. All of this is going to be material that we take off. It's going to be pretty sweet. And am I expecting huge gains from this? Nope. Not going to see massive gains, but what people do see when they do this to a stock manifold system for a Duramax is they'll see, on average, anywhere from 50 to maybe 75 degrees lower EGTs, and maybe just a slight little bump in the seat of the pants feel. So you get a little bit better spool up, a little bit cooler temperatures, and this will definitely lower the back pressure as well. So nothing crazy, but again, for my application, I'm going for low RPM, high velocity, so that I can crawl up those mountains in Prince of Wales at low speeds. You can kind of see what I was talking about. So I just took this gasket off of here, but I had the gasket on. I used the marker to kind of mark all the material that needs to be taken off, and then I took the scribed out the inside of the gasket, and then this is what I was left with on this side. So everything from the scribe in is material that I can take off. And then I'll do the same thing on the up pipe, and then the manifold to the up pipe will have a nice 1-to-1 ratio. They'll flow very smoothly into one another without any unnecessary obstructions from the factory. Now, this is my first time doing gasket matching. I've never ported anything before, so I'm looking forward to this. And yeah, if I mess up, I mess up, but you don't learn unless you try, right? So I'm gonna give it the old college try, see what happens. Hopefully I'll have some good results, but I think as long as I just keep taking my time and don't get too carried away, I should be able to come out of this fairly unscathed. It looks like there's some spots in here as well. I don't know how well that's going to pick up on camera. It looks like there's some spots on the inside that look like they can be knocked down and leveled out a little bit. On this BD, you can see a big There, that's a good shadow. You can see this right here. This big old bulge. I think we can probably knock that down a little bit, make a little smoother flow. So I think I'm just gonna try that, try polishing it as much as I can, get rid of any of the casting flaws that I find, and just have fun with it, take my time, and try to learn something new, and then throw it on the truck, see how it works, and then show the rest of you guys in case, you know, something good happens and you guys want to try to replicate this. So I get some positive gains or some lower EGTs or whatever. You guys will be the first to know. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and scribe up the bottom and yeah, keep moving along with this. Alright, I just wanted to bring you up to speed before I go too crazy with it. So I made my first pass through here. I don't know if that's picking up, but it's definitely a little bit bigger than this BD now that it's routed out. Looks like I can go just a little bit more in some spots. So I'm going to save that for a maybe a grindstone bit, because I've been using this burr. And it takes off quite a bit of meat. And although it's, you know, it's pretty smooth, it's smooth-ish, I can definitely sand that out a little bit more, make it a little smoother. I'm not trying to go too crazy with it, just trying to do a good job. It being my first time, I don't want to get too overzealous and just take out a crap ton. But I am going to try to smooth it out. I did take down some of the numbers that were in here. There's like a number 8 and some other punches in there. I smoothed out this little ridge here. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it. No, I gotta flip it upside down. But I smoothed out this transition that goes up into here. So it's a little more slopey. It certainly feels a lot nicer. Okay, and I just laid out the bottom part right here. As you see, there's not a whole lot to take off, so I'm not going to go super crazy with it. Just line it up a little bit better and try to cut a straighter line if I can. You know, I might make it worse, but try not to. And then I'll hit it with some of those smoother bits to give it a nice, try to give it a glossy-ish finish. Take down some of these transitions a little bit, smooth those out. But otherwise, I think that'll be it. And then I'll try to get in as much as I can. Try to get in there as much as I can. I have a 4-inch long bit, but that'll help out some. But then I'm going to call this one done, and I'll paint it with some black engine paint. Let that one dry, and then I'll move on to this guy. So I'll get you updated here in a second after I make a little bit more progress. Alright, just got what I could with that 4-inch bit there. Just keep you a little drive by. I don't know how well that picks up on video, but the port is definitely a little bit bigger. I was able to get a lot of those casting, the casting ridges out of there, almost all of them. And then there's a lot of like markings of some sort on the inside of them as well that I took down. So that should smooth out the flow a bit. Next I gotta swap out this burr, get some of the finer bits in there and then start working it, polishing it as much as I can, try to smooth it out, even though as it is it's a lot smoother than it was, but I think we can still make it smoother. Might as well. Alright, I'll check back in with you. Welcome back to the next day here. I don't remember if I showed you this last night, probably not. But I finished up with that grinding bit. Where'd it go? I actually took quite a bit of it. This bit started off a lot bigger, but I did get quite a bit done here. I'll show you the different ports. You can see it is a bit more uniform. It's a bit more uniform and smooth. Just gonna show you the ports. Got as much as I could at least. Probably do a little bit more, but that's what we ended up with. Alright, before I get too far into this, I just wanted to show you what I'm using. I picked up all this stuff pretty much on Amazon here. I got all these bits on Amazon. Not too incredibly expensive. I'll find links and drop them down in the description for you. But a bunch of various types of burrs that you can use for different projects. Here. As you can see, I mostly use this egg shape so far. Seems to be working pretty good. I think I got some little ball bits in there. I think I got some of these will probably bust that out at some point. Looks like a pretty good one. This big old mace looking thing. That's what I use for a majority of it. Got these longer bits, they're about 4 inches long, I think. And so I was really able to dig back in there and use that egg-shaped one again. Worked out pretty good. Also picked up these WP die grinders. They're nice and they're heavy duty, made out of metal. They got a little bit of weight to them, but it's not unbearable, and it does fit pretty nice in the hand. I've pretty much just been using this one the whole time. It's been working great for me so far. I think I paid $76 for both of them. It came in a kit with a few grinding bits. I also have these stone bits. And that's what I used for my second pass there. It's actually a pretty big bit, and then I ground it down to that. And then I'm going to dig into, or I'm going to polish it up with these bits. It comes in a nice bag. Also picked that up on Amazon. And from what I can tell so far, because it's been a while since I ordered these, so I don't have it memorized anymore, but it starts off a little bit coarse, and I think there's at least 4, maybe even 1 or 2 more in there, and it just gradually gets a little finer. So I'm going to bust into that next and see how that works. But just in case, you are starting out just like me, or you're just curious what I'm using and how I'm doing this, I wanted to show you. And like I said, I'll find descriptions or links to throw in the description for you if you want to check some of this stuff out for yourself. If maybe you are a project hobby person like me and you just want to try something new, develop a new skill, all we got is time, really. So seems like we'll be here for a while, so might as well, if we're going to be working our ass off our entire life, we might as well use some of that money to develop some skills that bring us some joy, right? So that's kind of what this is all about for me. I've always enjoyed making things performance, whether it be my body, my vehicles, my bicycles, my dogs, my dog sleds, anything, pretty much anything I can get my hands on, my computers, everything. Even characters in my video games that I used to play, everything had to be performance and top notch, at least to the best of my abilities that I could make it. So here's another kind of reincarnation of that. That's kind of what this whole YouTube channel is about. Just figuring it out, doing it yourself, trying something new, trying to make it better than it was before. And there's always room for improvement. So without further ado, I'm just going to keep on trucking. So when they get you that head-on shot there, Should get some nice flow out of that. Should probably clean up around here a bit. Pretty happy with it. Alright, I'm getting ready to cut this one, dig into it, port match it. I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I'm going to be looking at specifically, or things that I'm wanted to bring your attention to. Alright, let's see if this shows up here, but you'll see this couple of imperfections that come from the factory. Some built up slag there in the casting. See some raised ridges here as well. Just some slag to take off. It's a little bit more right here. And back in there you'll see some more maybe. Maybe you can see that. You can definitely see this right here. You can see all those ridges and the slag that's built up in there. All that needs to come down. Probably see it in here too a little bit. As well as you can see it on the back there. So all of that's going to come down, and of course I'll gasket match it here just like I did on the last one. Alright, I'm going to set you up like this here. Hopefully that'll show you. I think I'm going to do pretty much all of this on time-lapse. This is going to take forever. Time-lapse will speed it up for you. So here's my little WP tool. I'm gonna switch out this worn out polishing piece, and I'm gonna take out this little, I don't know what you call this little bit. Almost want to call it a chuck, but I don't think it's called a chuck. Maybe you guys can help me out there. But I'm gonna need a slightly bigger piece in there so that I can fit my burr. So I'm just spin that back on. Throw in the burr little ways. Try to give myself as much reach as I can while still holding it in there nice and secure. Just tighten this up. Doesn't have to be crazy tight because you still got to take it back off. And then just like to throw in some tool oil ever so often, of course. All right. I have my air compressor off right now, but I'm just gonna put my earplugs in, my earmuffs on. I'll just show you slowly kind of how I'm just going to make a couple of cuts and we'll see what happens here. And then I'm going to put you on time lapse here in a minute. Speed things up for you. Doing this, I'm not applying a whole lot of pressure because you can see this is a pretty aggressive burr. It wants to dig in, and when it does dig in, it'll create big old divots in there. That's not what you want to do. So you just kind of want to let the tool do its work. And I don't even really let the full weight of the tool down. I just try to hover it above it a little bit and just take off little bits at a time. A little bit of finesse is involved. I'm sure you guys who have done this before and are very proficient at it know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just, you know, you just got to have a light hand and try to be as precise as you can so you don't go over your scribe marks. And you want it to be as circular as possible. So there we go. Starting to run out of air, and it's going to get really noisy here, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn on my air compressor, put you on time-lapse, and we're going to freaking get it. Alright, it's a new day here. Looks like it finally stopped raining for a little bit, so we're going to take off the up pipe. At least one of the up pipes. Maybe get to the other one. And to do that, we're going to use this extension and ratchet. So there's 3 of those 12mm bolts. Right there. Won't be too much for you to see besides me struggling, so just let you know I'm doing it here. 3 bolts, bottom of the turbo, and they are like the other ones, 12mm, 12 points, in a hard to reach location. So I'm gonna try to break them loose. I've had them soaking in penetrating oil the past few days, so okay, wish me luck. Okay, just want to say that I have cracked loose all of the up pipe bolts over here on the driver's side via this rear access. I gotta say, there's no room for anything. It's a big pain in the ass. I pulled these 2 clusters of wires out of the way because they're right up in here, right where you need to get your tool. You need to be careful of your fuel lines. Yeah, there's really no room in there. It's going to be a long, tedious process, but I'm happy that they broke loose, and I'm just going to very slowly keep working them out. But this is definitely a tedious process, trying to work through all this crap here, but ultimately I hope it's worth it. Okay, I have every single one of the bolts cracked. Believe it or not, I didn't break a single one of them. I used this guy right here, my makeshift breaker bar with a flex head 1/2 inch. This is a 14mm. Except for that guy right there, I just used regular 1/2 inch ratchet, and it was I was able to get it just by hand cracking it, and I'm 100% convinced it's because of 2 reasons. All the PB blaster that I have sprayed over the past few weeks, and also my gear. As you see, it's really greasy down here. Pretty sure it's my gearbox that's leaking power steering fluid and just throws it everywhere. So that's kept everything nice and lubed up. And also having this mud guard here on this side has kept the elements out for the most part, so it wasn't nearly as bad as the passenger side, with the exception of all of this crap being in the way, making it a little bit more difficult. But Yeah, now I think I can just use my little power ratchet to back it out the rest of the way, and we'll have it pulled out. Alright guys, if I am clever enough in post-edit, I'm going to cover this screen with a picture of the exhaust manifolds. I think it's left to right. You'll see the passenger side manifold, you'll see the new BD power full bore manifold, and then you'll see that pinched stock driver side manifold. And you'll notice between cylinders 6 and 8 how it just pinched in there, looks like it was just mashed on or ran over. That's what I'm talking about. That's why we are changing this out. That's why we're not just port matching the stock one, because we want to straighten that out as much as possible. We want to get that full flow to match the passenger side the best that we can, and it's worth it. The truck runs quieter, it runs smoother, it spools up quicker, and also that's because the up pipes are port matched, turbos rebuilt, port matched, new down pipe, new 45 over LDS injectors. All of that makes a difference, plus all the other mods that are on the truck: cold air intake, bigger turbo horn, 3-inch charge pipes, intercooler pipes, 4-inch MBRP exhaust, and PPE accelerator. All that, it's the sum of the parts that make the whole, not the one part. So sum of all the parts all together make a big difference. Oh yeah, and I also removed that intake heater plug as well, because that was a pretty nasty obstruction. If you're interested in that, I got a video for that for you, so you can get a closer look and see what that plug looks like and see what we replaced it with, which also ultimately gave us access to a additional little port so we can install a boost gauge. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you this picture real quick so I didn't leave you hanging, and so you don't have to wait till the next episode, because in the next episode, like I was saying in the intro, we get the sand rollers in, and I bust back out the manifolds and the up pipe and do a much finer finish. So in this episode, we're just going to kind of do a rough cut, get it started, and I'm just kind of feeling it out, figuring out which one's my ass, which one's my elbow. I've never port and polished before, so new toys, new skills I'm developing, and it's a lot of fun. If you even have the remote, like this, the most minute amount of interest in port and polish, I say go ahead and invest in something like I got. I think I showed you the tools, or I will show you the tools here later on in this episode, so you get to see what I'm using, what bits I'm using, what die grinders I'm using, and I'll show you a little bit about the process. And as I get better, you will see more of the port and polishing. Like, I believe you see more of it in the turbo rebuild, and you see definitely a lot more of it once I pull the heads out, because there's like, I don't know, 32 valves or something like that, or more, I forgot. There's a lot. So I do get a lot of practice in with it, and I do spend a lot of hours by the end of this project. And between the manifolds, up pipes, turbo, and the cylinder heads, so I'm pretty excited to rip out that Chevy 350 and do the same thing to that here in a bit. But anyways, let's go ahead and continue on with the video. And moving right along, getting these up pipes off. Picked up a new impact extended or deep socket, 12.12 millimeter. Definitely has a little stronger teeth on it. The other one was starting to wear out. For the up pipe, for the one on the passenger side, I've been able to reach through and get the top bolts all the way down. I'm actually working on the top bolts for the driver's side right now, and I can also get that bottom bolt. So I haven't had to use the serpentine belt tool yet, but I still got that in my back pocket in the event I need it. So far they're opening, they're cracking open pretty all right, so I feel kind of fortunate in that regards. Although it's, you know, definitely really sketchy cracking loose these old rusty bolts, but since they are coming loose, I'm gonna keep on going, and we might actually get to take out the turbo here and do a rebuild. Okay, hope I didn't just jinx myself. Okay, so one tip I can give you here, when you're getting to the those top bolts on the driver's side up pipe, you'll want to remove this heat shield. Like all the other heat shields, it's 10 millimeter. Got one up top, two on the side, one on the bottom. You can reach almost all of them with a power ratchet, except for this one, I believe. One of these, I think it was this one, I had to use a little ratcheting wrench, and it came out no problem. They're not on there incredibly tight, so yeah, I don't think I'll actually reuse these. I'll probably pick up some heat tape and wrap them up that way, just so I get a little better clearance, a little easier to install. Anywho, moving right along. Now that I have that off, I'll have access to the up pipe bolts, and as soon as I get those cracked loose, I can probably get back there with my power ratchet and back them all out, and then the up pipes are off. Yay. Alright guys, it's the next day, and I wanted to save this moment for you because I had to close up last night to go do some stuff, but I did drop one of the down pipes successfully, and we got some cross-threaded bolts, so I'm pretty sure these have never been taken off before. At least I don't think so. So this may be from factory. And let me just show you what it looks like here. Here are the bolts. Ooh, that one's actually sticking out. That's so bad. Very surprised I didn't break these. This one's really bad. But I'm glad I took them out just the same. Because the thought occurred to me, I was just going to slap on the exhaust pipes or the manifolds and see if I can throw on the compressor wheel without taking off the turbo. But I was like, well, if something goes wrong with the turbo, something goes wrong with the up pipes, they're eventually going to have to come off sooner or later, but that'll be down the line in the future, and future me will thank past me, which is current me right now, if I just go ahead and put forth the effort, since everything's taken apart, try to remove everything, clean out all the threads on the turbos, and do all the exhaust port matching that I wanted to do. So just pulled the trigger, and now I'm gonna get everything else out now. But ooh, the sun's coming out, gonna have to change shirts. Let's go ahead and take a look at that down, or that up pipe. It's just been resting here. It just pulls right out. Ooh, it's not horrible. A little rusty, still in pretty good condition. Got some pretty big, brutal welds here. That's what I'll be port matching. I'll just take this down as far as I can to match with the gaskets. Take down this big, nasty weld there. Do the same thing over here. And that should bank me a little bit more flow, less obstruction, less turbulence, and hopefully that will help spool my turbo a little quicker on the bottom end. It actually doesn't look bad. A few spot welds in there. Well, it actually looks pretty good. So I'm going to clean this up and get to removing the other one, One thing I wanted to note, it didn't seem like I was going to be able to get to those other bolts on the driver's side until I removed the up pipe from the passenger side. So I'll have to remember that on reinstallation, to go ahead and put in the driver's side first and then the passenger side to make things a little easier. But I think I cracked all the bolts. Maybe I got one more to crack over there, and then that up pipe will come off. So wish me luck. Gonna go ahead and get in there with the same tool I've been using for this whole thing, the breaker bar with the flex head ratchet, and yeah, get to it. Alright, just want to give you a tip here. So I got the driver's side up pipe removed. I just want to let you guys know that it is an absolute pain in the ass to get out of there, and it actually came out through the bottom here. I think it's because of, you know, all the tight tolerances for one, and then there's all these stupid fucking bracketries for the heat guard. So before I reinstall, I'm going to cut off all the bracketry. I'm definitely just going to heat wrap these pipes and call it good. That should give me a little bit better clearance, but yeah, it's not a whole lot of room in there. As you can see, it has to come all throughout there. But now that it's down and on the side of the engine, I should be able to just pull it out. Show you what it looks like in a second. And the up pipes are off. Man, this is not an easy task. I honestly didn't think I'd get this far, but here it is. So we're at the point of no return. Driver side, passenger side. So here's all those brackets I was talking about that were getting hung up on everything. I'm just gonna cut all of those off, get some heat tape, wrap both of them up after I clean them up, paint them with some Rust-Oleum, and then we'll go ahead and clean up these ports, port match them to the gasket, or gasket match them. But otherwise, the pipes look pretty good. They're actually not incredibly bad. I believe they are the 1 3/4. So I should get some decent velocity out of these at the lower RPMs. So I think I'm going to stick with them. If they were shot in really bad condition, I was just going to order some new ones, but I think I can salvage these and squeeze some more miles out of them. So pretty happy with that. So next I got to remove the turbo. So we got to drain. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Hope it helped you out in some way. I know there was definitely some spots in there where I had some other footage that I gave you a little more closer look to it. So apologies if you were looking for something specific and I didn't get it. You know, we'll do better next time. That's all we can do, right? But showed you the tools. Showed you how I got in there, showed you how I got those parts out, and we started the manifold porting the manifolds. So we still have a lot more work to do in this series. Like I've said, we got, after this next episode, we're going to pull that turbo out and we're going to dismantle it, clean it, and start the port and polish and rebuild. And I show you step by step, because this is my first time doing a turbo rebuild, period. So it was all new to me. And I know there's not a whole lot of LB7 Duramax turbo rebuild videos out there. There's a couple old ones that are pretty good, nothing real current. And so I just wanted to get you in there and show you step by step, you know, what the inside of your turbo looks like, and how to rebuild it. You know, it's just good things to know. So this is, you know, me giving back to the community for helping me out all these years, work on my vehicles. So another drop in the ocean, right? All right, guys, thanks for sticking around this long. Please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in where this project is going. We are moving on to that turbo rebuild next. Finish the port and polish, put it back together, and take it for a test run. Overheat the truck, and we detect some carbon in our coolant reservoir. And so we rip the heads out, rebuild the heads, port and polish those, slap in some new 45 over sack nozzle LDS injectors. So pretty excited for all of that, to show all of that to you. And I'll see you over on that video. So have a good day, guys.